Hey, greetings everybody. It's GleeCon back again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last episode, we wrapped up the oh no, we didn't wrap up. We began the Silver Pine Forest with our undead Forsaken Warlock. Just did the first. There's a couple farms as you enter the area, and we kind of started those and did those quests that take you from the Sepulchre and back to the capital. So the only secondary zone we haven't started yet is Westfall, which will happen on our next level. We also have been reading this Horde Player's Guide, and in this sixth chapter, we have really started digging into the lore and history of the Horde. So stay a while and listen as we continue that by getting into jungle troll history. So essentially troll history, but the playable trolls from World of Warcraft Classic. Few historians have studied troll history, and fewer still have dared to live among them and learn their ways, as some erudite academicians sometimes do with other gentler races, supposedly to gain a better understanding of their history, values, and traditions. As I was saying, few people have ever dared to do this with the trolls, and who can blame them? Although my personal experience dealing with members of the various troll races hasn't been too bad, it hasn't been great either. True, the forest troll Mosjin once sat down with me and explained everything I wanted to learn about the history of the forest trolls, but I haven't yet met another troll willing to extend me the same courtesy. And I wonder what that comes from. I wonder if that's in one of the previous Brand Bronzebeard books where he discusses forest trolls. I don't think it was in the last one we read. Might be. But I also skimmed over the one that was before that. My unfortunate encounter with a primal, one of those ferocious savages whose uncontrollable fits of rage turn them into bestial creatures, formerly from the Darkspear tribe, however, provided me with a unique perspective into jungle troll history and culture. Though I had dealings with trolls before, especially those of Zandalar, I would never have guessed that this unfortunate encounter would give me unexpected insight. I now look upon trolls, all trolls, with a more open mind. Despite the strange circumstances of our meeting, the outcast Vokfon acted honorably and showed me great respect. That, in the last book, is where Bran explored and talked to the Sandalari. A few years back, a group of bandits ambushed the party I was traveling with. During the fight, Vokfon, the most powerful among them, knocked me out, though I had nicked him pretty good. Later I awoke to learn I was the sole survivor of my group and the jungle troll's prisoner. Because I had fought like a true warrior, as he said, Vokfon respected me and treated me surprisingly well, something I wouldn't have expected from a troll whose savagery and mercilessness are well-known facts. During the many days I spent with him, as his prisoner, we shared many conversations. From Vokfon and a handful of his comrades whom we met during our travels, I learned the complicated history of the jungle trolls, some of which the Darkspears didn't confide when I came to them with my questions. So this is beyond just the Darkspears, who are the jungle trolls of the Horde. This is even deeper. Long ago, when Kalimdor was still part of the single great continent, the trolls were lords and masters of the land. They headed two great empires, the Amani Empire of the Forestlands and the Gurubashi Empire of the southern jungles. Though the forest trolls of the Amani Empire and the jungle trolls of the Gurubashi Empire had little love for each other, they frequently combined their forces to battle an ancient and mysterious civilization called Ajakir. The Akir were intelligent insectoids who ruled the lands of the far west. The clever Akir were expansionistic and evil. They were obsessed with eradicating all non-insect life from the fields of Kalimdor. Now, if you remember back from Chronicles, what we just read there is not quite as old as the history goes. There were the dark trolls that were even before those two empires, even before the Akir took the scene. But this is getting us closer and closer to the ultimate prehistory of the trolls. For thousands of years, the allied forces of the forest and jungle trolls fought the Akir, but never succeeded in winning a true victory. Especially due to the trolls' persistence, the Akiri kingdom split in half, as its citizens fled to separate colonies in the far northern and southern regions of the continent. Two Akiri city-states emerged, Ajol Narub in the northern wastes, and on Karaj in the southern desert. Thus, the Karaji and the Nerubians are descended from the same race, the Akir. Again, there's a little bit that has to be touched upon with that, because there are a few other spots. The spots where the Mantids come from. So this is obviously pre-conception of Pandaria. For instance, I think there's one or two others. After years of relative peace, both troll empires solidified their hold upon primeval Kalimdor. Though they no longer needed to be allies, the people of the Amani and Gurubashi empires extended their relationship and for the most part avoided conflict with each other. These peaceful times were beneficial for both races. Volk Fawn, my unexpected teacher in jungle troll history, believes this was a golden age for his people. Eventually, however, a new threat emerged. When the Night Elves came into being following the discovery of the Well of Eternity, they forged a mighty empire. In fact, my interlocutor believes that a group of trolls actually discovered the well and that the magic waters turned them into the first Night Elves. That's true. I'm not sure what to make of that, but this is not the first time I heard this rumor. Despite the trolls' best effort to contain them, the Night Elves expanded their territories, stealing both forest troll and jungle troll ancestral lands. Faced with magic more deadly than they would ever have dreamed possible, the twin empires of Amani and Gurubashi fragmented into small disorganized factions of forest and jungle trolls. These factions then waged war against each other. Trolls will, after all, be trolls. Each of these groups hoped to gain a foothold on the lands they had once ruled, but even Volk Fawn, one of the most barbaric warriors I ever spoke to, realized how foolish this was. He called these troubled times the Dark Hours, but they lasted many years. So, looking at this picture and tying it into that fact, you can't help but start to link the similarities and like maybe the evolutionary connection between trolls and night elves. They definitely have a similar build, size, ears, and to some extent coloration. But just think about evolving from 2 toes and 2 fingers, or 3 if you count a thumb, to 5 and 5. I guess that would be beneficial to have more. Even if they are individually less powerful, sure, I think it would for sure be, and also the loss of the tusks. It'd be really cool to kind of explore that, almost from like an anthropological perspective. The great empires of the trolls were now broken. Forest trolls fought with their former jungle troll allies, but worse was the various jungle troll tribes. What was that they waged a bloody civil war against each other, even as the Night Elves continued to wreak havoc among them. These internal conflicts caused almost as much damage as the Night Elves, and soon left the trolls of the formerly great twin empires in a vulnerable position. In one final attack, the Night Elves crushed the Amani and Gurubashi trolls. Shamed by their defeat and unable to face the mightier forces of their enemies, the surviving Gurubashi fled to the jungle wildernesses, where they nursed their wounds just as their Amani cousins retreated to the dark forests. Meanwhile, the Night Elves' reckless use of magic brought the Burning Legion into the world and thus eventually caused their downfall. When the Well of Eternity was destroyed and the continent shattered, the jungle trolls stood by helpless as most of the land of their former Gurubashi Empire vanished. So in many, many ways, you should think of the trolls as the original kind of the true owners, the true people that are the stewards of Azeroth. If there's one true Azerothian race, a strong argument could be made that it is the trolls. The centuries that followed were especially harsh on the jungle trolls, who abandoned a portion of their civilized traditions and reverted to a more primitive way of life. Famine, disease, and war with other races continued to decimate the population, which was now thinly spread throughout the lands of the south. Desperate, the Gurubashi trolls turned toward mystical forces, praying to their primitive gods for help. Among them, only Hakar, the vilest, answered. According to Volk Fawn, Hakar, called the Soul Flayer by many, offered his secret of blood to the Gurubashi trolls. Blessed with powers only the entity could provide, the jungle trolls expanded their hold across most of Stranglethorn Vale, as well as upon many islands of the South Seas. Hakar, however, was a greedy spirit who demanded that souls be sacrificed on a daily basis. Volk Fawn, like many Darkspears, believes that Hakar helped the jungle trolls of olden days, only in order to gain enough power to enter the physical world. The deity's secret dream, Vokfon revealed to me in a half-whispered voice, was to devour the blood of every mortal on the planet. When the jungle trolls realized this fact, they turned against their god and his priests, which were called the Athalai. So, and I think some of that lore is touched on in, I think, Vol'dun, or which one of the third. I'm picturing the Zandalar Island, the trio, and it's the one in the middle that I'm trying to think of. Vokfon did not reveal much of the conflict that opposed the strongest Gurubashi tribes against Hakar's followers. To this day, every troll I talk to about this mysterious conflict speaks to me in hoarse whispers. What I learned, and indeed what the trolls firmly believe, is that Hakar's priests, the Athalai, used powerful magic, and that the deity managed to take physical form and walk upon the world. In a remarkably short time, the Athalai and their godly avatar crushed what could have become another great Gurubashi empire. Just as the situation seemed most hopeless for the jungle trolls, however, the descendants of the Gurubashi defeated Hakar's avatar and drove his priests into exile. Many now fear the day the Athalai will return from whence they hide and attempt to bring their god back into the world, but Vokfon is not among them. In fact, when he related to me this part of his people's history, he spat and sneered at the foolishness of such a notion. I wouldn't bet my left eye, or even my right eye for that matter, that Vokfon's contempt is well-founded. For all I know, the Athalai may indeed be a lurking menace threatening to doom the world again as the jungle troll prophecies predict. That could be a cool expansion. Whatever the case may be, the old Gurubashi tribes, which had pulled their resources together to defeat Hakar and his vile priests, split up after this latest war. Among others, the Darkspear tribe set off to claim their lands, or rather reclaim them as Vokfon would insist. The jungle trolls re-established their homes in the jungles of Stranglethorn. Vokfon's tale, however, does not end here. He claims that the Darkspear tribe from which he is now an outcast lived in relative peace, and found a home on isolated islands near Kalimdor. Sen'jin, a wise leader, led the Darkspear tribe when they met Thrall. Vokfon says that Thrall and his orcs were fleeing from some human internment camp when they crashed into one of the Darkspear islands near the Maelstrom. Here, Thrall defeated the pursuing humans. Vokfon says the orc chiefdom was about to pay tribute to Sen'jin when a group of murlocs surprised both the orcs and the trolls. The murlocs took everyone prisoner and planned to sacrifice their victims to a mysterious goddess they called the Sea Witch, which turns out to have been, from what I hear, a powerful Naga spellcaster who gathered her murloc followers through magic. Working with Thrall and the orcs, the Darkspear trolls escaped from their prison, but Sen'jin lost his life in the final battle. Vokfon said it was at this time that Thrall offered friendship to the jungle trolls of his tribe. The Darkspear refugees had lost their homeland, which had sunk to the bottom of the sea, and they agreed to travel to Kalimdor with Thrall. The alliance between the Darkspear and the Horde thus began. The bulk of the Darkspear tribe lived on the Echo Isles, away from the influence of Thrall and the Horde. When a human armada attacked the Darkspear trolls' home on the Echo Isles, Vol'jin, their emerging leader, was forced to evacuate his people to Orgrimmar. The orcs once again aided the jungle trolls in their time of need, and the bonds between them and the Darkspear tribe were once again solidified. The trolls of the Darkspear tribe now dwell in a village they named Sen'jin in honor of their fallen leader, along the harsh, rocky eastern coast of Durotar, some distance south of Orgrimmar. And that catches us up to classic jungle troll culture. Considering what I learned of the recent history of the Darkspear tribe, and indeed from Vokfon, one of their former members, it comes as no surprise that the Darkspear trolls feel a great debt of gratitude toward the orcs, and that they are now part of the Horde. Among the many jungle troll groups, however, the people of the Darkspear tribe are the exception. Anyone who ever met a jungle troll knows how savage and merciless these creatures can be. These wily humanoids are brutal, cruel, and evil fiends who constantly wage war against civilized societies. They're especially fond of slaughtering the inferior races, as they call those who rely on more magic than on brute force. They particularly enjoy targeting human and elf settlements, caravans, and travelers, and rarely leave any survivors when they do. In battle, a group of jungle trolls maneuvers to face any kind of elf foes in melee whenever they can, though I couldn't say why most jungle trolls seem to hate elves this much, even more so than they hate humans. It may have something to do with their past experiences with the night elves. After all, they almost destroyed the trolls, not to mention the world itself. On the other hand, it could simply have something to do with the elves' incomprehensible table manners. Silly. The majority of jungle trolls today hail from Stranglethorn Vale and Zandalar, but some are also found in other areas, especially throughout southern Azeroth. Though it is unclear what drives the many jungle troll tribes, they seem to be haunted by a willingness to reclaim the past glory of their once great Gurubashi empire. Their inability to ally themselves with other races, even other jungle trolls, prevents them from fashioning any sort of long-lasting or powerful army. The Darkspear tribe again is an exception, as they have by now proven their loyalty to the Horde. However, each jungle troll tribe is highly regimented and led by the slyest or strongest individual. From what I gathered from Vokfon, jungle troll males control every aspect of their people's lives. The males of the tribes can hope to become mighty chieftains, wise counselors, blessed healers, powerful witch doctors, eerie shadow hunters, fierce warriors, resourceful scouts, and cunning hunters. Females, on the other hand, are considered property owned by the males of the tribe. They have no voice in the complex social structure of their people, and their lives depend on the males who own them. Female jungle trolls serve only one purpose: to proliferate the species. A female is the property of her father or her elder brother if her father is dead, until the patriarch offers her to a husband. Though I didn't dare inquire too much about the intricacies of troll marriages and the role that such unions play in their society, I gathered from Vokfon that the jungle trolls consider their wives as both trophies to be proud of and lowly slaves who have no rights. Among jungle troll society, the more wives a warrior has, the more ties he shares within the tribe and the more allies he has. Though the warrior must have the means to care for all of his wives, it is a matter of prestige, but also of political and social interest to own as many wives as possible. After all, only a willing father or brother agrees to give a female to a husband, unless of course a husband decides to hand out one of his own wives to another jungle troll to show his appreciation. Such a valuable gift shows a mark of respect and mutual friendship between the giver and the recipient. Vokfon says that this ancient tradition allows jungle trolls to cut deals and alliances with other tribes, but most men I know would find it as abhorrent as I do. It is indeed not rare to see the members of a weaker jungle troll tribe offer wives as tributes or peace offerings to the warriors of a bigger or more organized tribe. Unfortunately, the jungle trolls are simply this primitive, but among the members of the Darkspear tribe who suffered the influence of the gentler Horde, as Vokfon would say, some are beginning to question this outdated way of life. I dare say there might be hope for them, but I honestly doubt it after seeing Vokfon's reaction to the possibility of equality, or at least mutual respect, between the genders. However, even among savage jungle trolls, females who distinguish themselves in battle earn respect. So perhaps there is hope. I would say the Darkspear have gone beyond even just beginning to do this with their people, because you obviously can make a jungle troll female, a regular Darkspear troll female, and go about and talk and everything just completely as normal. Many of the class trainers are female, so I would say it goes beyond that. They definitely downplay, if not completely don't address, the thing that they keep bringing up in this book series, which is how many of the races of the Horde just completely second-class citizen status to females. Obviously, Blizzard decided to not make that part of the lore in the game, and we have read nothing of the sort in Chronicles either. So this is either this particular author sets. Well, we can't even say anything they write is this author's interpretation, because they absolutely had everything vetted by Blizzard. So there was a time period when Blizzard was okay with this being this story, and they might still consider that like low-key canon. And they just don't play it up in the video game form. Jungle trolls are split into several tribes, which have little or nothing to do with one another. While pacts and temporary alliances can be made, the majority of jungle trolls believe such things are made to be broken. Perhaps more than any other troll species, jungle trolls trust no one but members of their own tribe. Thus, they wage frequent war against all humanoids, including jungle trolls belonging to other tribes. It is a wonder they survive to this day. Then again, I learned long ago that these creatures are resourceful and willful individuals blessed with sharp survival instincts. One of the most fascinating aspects of jungle troll society is the way each tribe is fragmented into a series of castes. Though they do not refer to them as such, several subgroups divide a tribe. At the top of the hierarchy is the chieftain. Usually the strongest, vilest, and most astute individual of the group, the chieftain, makes all the important decisions pertaining to his people. A chieftain is often a warrior who has proven himself in countless battles against enemy forces, but who is also able to lead great armies to victory. He may also be an accomplished and charismatic witch doctor, priest, or shadow hunter. Whatever the case may be, a chieftain is first and foremost a powerful and highly respected individual who has proved again and again his invaluableness to the tribe. A jungle troll tribal chieftain usually rules his people with an iron fist because at the first sign of weakness, any warrior of his tribe may challenge his leadership. While such things do not happen every day, when someone openly questions a chieftain's ability to lead, a duel between the chieftain and the challenger usually ensues. They fight to the death, and the winner either keeps his position as the leader of his people or becomes the new chieftain. In other instances, a sly individual works with other trolls to assassinate a chieftain deemed weak in order to take his place. When such an act is put to light, most jungle trolls simply accept that a strong chieftain would have prevented the assassins from acting in the first place, and thus they willingly accept the new chieftain as the stronger, more cunning, and ambitious of the two, and thus as the troll most capable of leading them to greatness. A shrewd chieftain, however, knows how to earn the loyalty of his people. Perhaps more importantly, he is able to surround himself with capable individuals who share his hopes and ambitions. He also rewards warriors and sages loyal to him. A chieftain's entourage is thus important, not only to ensure the tribe's present and future well-being, but also for the survival of its leader. The chieftain's entourage comprises his most cunning advisors and the tribe's mightiest witch doctors, as well as his most ardent bodyguards. Unless a chieftain is also the tribe's foremost witch doctor or priest, his second-in-command usually fills that divine role. Typically, a chieftain relies on the counsel and spells of the most powerful spellcaster of the tribe. The second-in-command assists the chieftain in all tasks. Primarily, his role is to provide sound advice and support the chieftain in all decisions he makes. When the chieftain is the mightiest spellcaster among his people, a strong sword arm seconds him. Makes sense. If the chieftain goes missing or if he is killed, it is up to the second-in-command to take temporary leadership of the tribe until a new chieftain is proclaimed. Also among the chieftain's entourage are a number of sages. These individuals form a sage council, headed by the most experienced among them. While most members of this council are experienced shadow hunters, priests, and witch doctors, some veteran warriors are also invited to become members. These trolls help the chieftain in internal matters such as mediating disputes between tribesmen, planning important forays into enemy territory, or at times ensuring that a former foe becomes an ally, at least for a short period of time. This council usually speaks through a single voice, the voice of the most venerable member. For a jungle troll, a place on this council is a high honor, one that ensures constant wealth and further prestige for his entire family. Least among the chieftain's entourage are loyal bodyguards, called carvers for obvious reasons. Typically headed by one of the chieftain's old comrades in arms, the carvers form an elite band of warriors whose duty is to protect the chieftain and his family. In times of war, this group serves two functions. The first and most obvious is to ensure that no harm comes to their leader as he leads his group troops into battle. However, because the carvers are among the strongest warriors of the tribe, the chieftain uses them as shock troopers and sends them on important missions, such as flanking the ranks of the enemy, assailing the leader of an opposing army, or stealing a foe's standard to lower morale. The bulk of a jungle troll tribe is comprised of warriors. The most accomplished of them are ferocious barbarians who have proved their worth in battle. These warriors organize raids and lead less experienced fighters into battle. All jungle trolls are daring adversaries, but they are also skilled hunters. Jungle trolls provide for their children and elders and maintain their wives by doing what they do best, fighting and hunting. From an early age, jungle trolls learn to wield spears and knives. In fact, jungle troll younglings often play with pointy wooden spears and sharpened blades, and many of them are wounded during their brutal make-believe combats. Youngsters are also taught to track animals and wild beasts. As early as 3 years of age, jungle troll younglings accompany the males of the tribe on hunts several times each month. By the time one of their kind reaches maturity, he is already an accomplished hunter. The harsh tribal way of life of the jungle trolls forces them to adapt to change and to remain constantly on guard for trouble. Even a young, inexperienced jungle troll can prove to be a remarkable foe in battle, but the most lethal combatants among them are those who learn to master their rage. The most impressive of these berserkers nurture what Vokfon referred to as the beast within. No ordinary barbarians, these savages call themselves primals. Few jungle troll males shy away from battle, but some are blessed with greater spirit than their brethrens. These often feel the pull of the traditional faith of their ancestors and answer its call, becoming like many of their peers, witch doctors, priests, or in the case of the Darkspears, shaman. Some of the mightiest go on to become shadow hunters. These trolls play a special role within the tribe, and indeed enjoy many privileges. Healers, advisors, keepers of knowledge, and ancient rites, these individuals learn the oral tradition of their people. Through them, the tribe's history, achievements, and past glory days rekindle the flames of youth and inspire new hope to the people. Like many of their cousins, jungle trolls practice voodoo magic. Witch doctors and the occasional priests, considered to be the keepers of the age-old faith, perform regular rites and ceremonies believed to be beneficial for the tribe. Though highly respected by their troll brethren, witch doctors and voodoo priests are regarded with some measure of suspicion by all other races. After all, few people understand their strange ways. In the Darkspear tribe, these ancient practices share their place with shamanism, which slowly but gradually becomes more commonplace since they joined the Horde. I guess when put like this, it's kind of weird that trolls could be shaman. In most tribes, jungle trolls regularly practice cannibalism. Jungle trolls believe that by eating the flesh of their enemies, they not only appease the spirit of the deceased, but also consume a portion of that spirit. Thus, by cannibalizing fallen foes, jungle trolls make sure that the mischievous spirits of their enemies do not visit misfortune upon them. They thus have no qualms about devouring an enemy defeated in combat, be he troll or not. Though, until recently, the Darkspear trolls adhered to these ancient beliefs, their interaction with the Horde has taught them restraint and other virtues. Other beliefs, especially those of the orcs, also pollute their ancient traditions, as Vokfon reminded me countless times. Though it seems to me that the Darkspear trolls have a long way to go before they can truly be called civilized, at least the noble orcs teach them some basic manners. The Darkspear tribe no longer practices cannibalism, at least not openly. Vokfon obviously does not like what is becoming of his Darkspear brethren. He thinks they're gradually turning softer, and that civilization will be the cause of their eventual and inevitable downfall. Nevertheless, the outcast Darkspear still feels he owes a great debt of gratitude to the orcs, and he will not betray them. This strange barbaric code of honor seems common to all members of the Darkspear tribe. Whatever Vokfon believes, the jungle trolls of the Echo Isles have always been the most civilized of their kind. In olden times before the War of the Ancients, they built and maintained a vast empire that stretched far and wide throughout primordial Kalimdor. Wouldn't it be logical to believe that the germs of civilization have always been an intrinsic part of all jungle trolls? Wouldn't it be feasible to think that with the influence of the Horde they may become once again a civilized people? Well, a dwarf can always dream. After 3 weeks of traveling with Vokfon, he considers me an equal. Aren't we not, after all, but two kindred spirits fighting on opposing sides? The two sides of an old gold coin, each trying unsuccessfully to take a good long look at the other. I'm not saying I like the trolls, because I don't, but I did share something special with my former captor. Yes, you read that right, my former captor. Vokfon set me free, otherwise you wouldn't be reading this. An odd sort of kindness from a raging warrior. I would have killed if he hadn't been lucky enough to knock me out first. The next time we meet, we will be on opposite sides. In the meantime, I do appreciate what he has taught me about his people, their history, and their alien way of life. Let's take a little sidebar and look at some flavor story. Vornal looked out upon the newly constructed jungle troll village of Senjin, named in honor of his fallen brother-in-arms. There was a strange look in his eyes, not proud or happy, but concerned. Vornal, like the former chieftain, was a venerable elder from the Darkspear tribe. Like many warriors his age, the years of ceaseless battle and constant grief creased his face. These years obviously took their toll on the old troll, who stood with shoulders bent as if the weight of the entire continent pressed upon him. Vornal's gaze turned to one of his many sons, who now stood outside the village's perimeter with a group of troll younglings. An experienced warrior was teaching them how to properly wield a spear. The shadow of a smile crossed Vornal's face as he saw the young males practicing the art of war all trolls should learn to master. But his mind was somewhere else. He thought of the events that followed Senjin's death. His people found unexpected friends in the orcs, and now the Darkspear tribe owed a great debt of gratitude to them. The people Senjin proudly led for many years were now part of the Horde. No longer would they be independent. The elder's face darkened as these thoughts crossed his mind. He knew in the bottom of his heart that the glory days of the Darkspear tribe would never come again. Now a competent and wise leader named Vol'jin, a highly respected troll who promised that the ancient traditions of the jungle trolls would not change, led the tribe. Vornal, who had fought many battles alongside Vol'jin, was now one of his most important advisors. However, Vornal did not share his friend's faith. In fact, Vornal strongly believed that even the combined will of all the people of the Darkspear tribe could not stop the influence the Horde already had on them. As the young trolls engaged in mock battle, Vornal began to slowly walk back in the direction of his new home. His thoughts drifted to the uncertain future of the Darkspear tribe, but more importantly, he wondered what fate had in mind for his family. The elder and his entire lineage recently took a damaging blow to their reputations when another one of his sons, a strong primal named Vokfon, openly spoke against the Horde. Vokfon had tried to warn his jungle troll brethren that the Horde would make them soft, that they would gradually lose their ways and eventually forget their ancient heritage. He was declared an outcast of the Darkspear tribe and an enemy of the Horde, an outcast for voicing what Vornal already believed would inevitably happen. Alright, and to wrap it up here, we have some ways that you can do jungle troll knowledge and what kind of checks you would have to do to be assumed to have your character possess that knowledge. What a character knows about jungle troll history and culture depends on his intelligence and training, which a knowledge check represents. A hero who makes an appropriate knowledge check knows the following information about jungle trolls at the indicated DC. So, basic knowledge of history or local knowledge of an area where the trolls are. So this is something that most people possess and pretty much all heroes possess. Jungle trolls are among the oldest races on Azeroth. They're savage and barbaric and hail from warm environments throughout southern Azeroth. A group of jungle trolls, the Darkspear tribe, recently joined the Horde. Okay, a DC 15 of local knowledge or the same knowledge of religion. So this is something that some people know, a little bit less than half of regular people, and most informed adventurers could know this. I'd say probably like 50-50 chance that jungle trolls practice the ancient religion of voodoo. Among each tribe, at least one witch doctor or priest acts as advisor to the chieftain. Sometimes a witch doctor becomes chieftain himself. Now, people who are very knowledgeable about history, so people who spec in this may know, or every now and then a very smart person who's historical or a small chunk of heroes know this, that the ancient Gurubashi Empire was once ruled by jungle trolls. But shortly after the Night Elves appeared on Azeroth, their great civilization was destroyed. Thus ended the jungle trolls' golden age. Okay, so DC 25, this represents something regular people don't know. This is local knowledge or religion knowledge. And even a trained person, people that are pretty highly trained in this, still only have a 50-50 chance. Only the greatest of heroic scholars can be assumed to know this just automatically. Most trolls revere dark voodoo spirits, and some among them devote their entire lives to these strange entities. These trolls, called shadow hunters, are revered for their ability to heal and curse on whim. Other trolls focus on curses and the malevolent aspects of voodoo. These trolls become hexers. Among the jungle troll tribes, hexers and shadow hunters hold places of honor. And finally, DC 30 local knowledge or nobility and royalty knowledge. So this means that even of the most devoted scholar heroes, only about half of them know this knowledge. That is Vol'jin, who leads the Darkspear tribe, maintains the delicate balance between the ancient and bloody traditions of his people and the influence of the Horde has upon them. While all Darkspear trolls owe a debt of gratitude to the Horde and most willingly accept the influence the Horde has on their culture, a handful of traditionalists now openly question Vol'jin's ability to maintain the traditional way of life. Cool. All right, everybody. And you know what? You watched this channel this far? Year one. You don't need a DC 30 knowledge check. You have this knowledge. We are deep diving to become these ultimate scholar heroes of Warcraft lore. Another episode in the pipe, 5x5. Thank you, scholars and heroes. Look forward to seeing you guys next time on Lore of Warcraft.